Good evening. My name is Henry Johnson, and it's time again for Think About It Thursday. This is September 1st, so we are into a new month. And I'm not sure where you all live, but I live in Pasadena, California, and I can tell you that it's hot. Today has been very hot, and we're looking forward to more warm temperatures. So we're also at the beginning of the Labor Day weekend. So hopefully, wherever you are, you've got good plans and you know what you're going to do this Labor Day weekend. I hope it's not as hot as it is here, but for those of you who have been staying tuned to this every week, you know that this is the time that we come together to think about things that have been brought up at the beginning of the week. So for this particular Think About It Thursday, what we have, the question is, have you felt lost and unsure about your calling when you take a wrong turn? Do you think God has removed his call on your life because of it? How do you work through it? So these questions are coming up because we were starting the week off with some questions that we had about uh, seeking your life calling. And up until now, we've talked about the fact that a calling is something that has to be discovered. It's not something that you can necessarily have already built inside of you that just comes out, but it has to be discovered because God is calling your life, has a calling on your life. And how do you discover what that is you have to go out and look for it. It has to be discovered. So, what we've talked about before is in that discovery, that path that you take to discover what your calling is in life. That some people have some misconceptions about what that is and what it means. And one of those misconceptions is that there's only one way to get to your calling. It's sort of like a MapQuest kind of attitude towards it, meaning if you ever use MapQuest, those of you who are old enough to remember the MapQuest app, what it would do is you would put in a destination where you're trying to go, and then it would calculate how to get there, and it would give you a set of directions. It would say go so many miles to this street and make a left, then go so many miles to this street, make another left, then go this far, make a right, and so forth until finally you would get to your destination. Well, the only problem for those who ever use MapQuest, if you can remember, is if you made a wrong turn, uh, then MapQuest wouldn't necessarily help you right away. You wouldn't know where to go. And if you were lucky, you'd hear MapQuest say something that was kind of discouraging. It would say something like recalculating, like you had made a big mistake and it was disappointed in you and you had somehow blown it. And sometimes people think that that's the way a calling is that there's a specific, you make a left turn here, you make a right turn, you make this decision in your life, you make that decision in your life, and ultimately when you follow all the directions and you do it the right way, then you will discover what your calling is. Well, that's not really the way it works. So what we started off with, and that's why we start with this question, but it really comes about because of another concept that we brought in early on Monday. We wanted you to have a Monday mindset, and that Monday mindset was that your calling your calling is more like a map than a list of right and wrong choices. That there are many roads that can lead you to your call. So just because you make a few wrong turns or experience some failures in your life, it doesn't mean that your calling is lost. You can you can and will take detours on your way. but you can replan your route based on your current condition and still arrive at the destination of your calling. So that's sort of the mindset that we wanted you to have this week, that you would think about it in those terms, that you're not a robot that has to follow these very specific instructions, and that's the only way that you're going to get to where you need to go. That it's more like not just a list of instructions, but it's more like a map. And on a map, when you look at it, you can see where you're starting from and you can see where you want to arrive. But there are many roads that get you there. And that's kind of the way it is when you go to discover your calling. You may go down a road and it looks like that's the right way to go, and you're following the course that you've mapped out, the route that you've decided. And you may come to some place where all of a sudden you find that there's road construction, that they've blocked off the road. So the way that you thought you were going to get there, it's not going to work. So does that mean that you'll never arrive at discovering what your calling is? No. But you can look at the map, and based on where you are at that point in time, you can make other decisions. And you can, well, maybe I need to go around that, or maybe I need to make a left and go further out and find another parallel road that will get me beyond whatever that interruption is, and maybe I can get back to where I had originally planned. Or maybe you're just taking a whole different route altogether. But the point is that you shouldn't be discouraged. You shouldn't feel as though because you've made some wrong turns in your life, because you've made some bad choices in your life, that God is going to abandon you and say, oh, look, I sent them out. I've revealed all these ways that they should discover their calling, and they're just blowing it. They're just making wrong turn after wrong turn, and they'll just never get there. That's not true. That's really not true. So we wanted you to have that mindset as you move forward and think about that this week. And what we do then, as most of you know, that we then move on to our Tip Tuesday. And Tip Tuesday is usually a quote from somewhere, somebody that's relevant to what we're talking about. So this week's Tip Tuesday quote actually came from something that you might be familiar with for those of you who ever watched America's Got Talent. There was a singer on, I don't remember what year. I don't think it was this year. It may have been last year. Her name was Jane Markowitz, but I think that everyone on America's Got Talent, they better knew her as Nightbirde. And Nightbirde was a singer, 30-year-old singer, and she had been diagnosed with cancer. And she came on, even though she was still battling with the disease, she came on America's Got Talent, and she sang this song that she had written, and it was called It's Okay. And we've chosen the lyrics to the refrain of that song as the tip for Tuesday. And that refrain was, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. If you're a little lost, we're all a little lost, and it's all right. So think about that. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay if you're lost. It says that in reality, we're all a little lost, and it's okay. It's all right. So just think about that you may be a little lost, but that's all right. That you can find the course back to where you need to go to get to your calling. So we wanted you to kind of have that, along with the notion that it's not a one path gets you there, that there's many ways to discover what your calling is. And if you're a little lost, that's okay. You can call out to God. He will still send you more clues. He'll reveal himself more to you still, and will give you the direction that you need to go. And it's okay. So with that, we also on the Wednesday we also give you a scripture that is related to that. And so this scripture for this week on our Wisdom Wednesday was, let us search out and examine our ways and turn back to the Lord. And that's in the Old Testament, and a book that most people don't read too much, called Lamentations. And if you think about that scripture, it's the context of it is that, you know, the Israelites were out and they had not done the right thing. And so the scripture said, well, let's just search out and examine our ways. Maybe it's the way that we've decided to do some things that's not quite the way it should be. And when we examine our ways, we stop when we're a little lost, don't know where to go. We thought we were making the right choices, or we thought we made the right turn. We thought we made the right decision, but we find ourselves not where we wanted to wind up. It's okay, but that's a time to search out and examine the ways, your ways, what you've been doing, how you got to where you are. And then turn back to the Lord. As I said, the Lord has still got a purpose for your life. He still has a call on your life. And he's not going to abandon that as long as you're still searching and you're listening for him. So turn back to the Lord. Look to see what other clues and the revelations that he's giving you that will reveal to you where you will discover your calling. And we talked about that a little bit last week. We said that he reveals it to us in many different ways. So don't just look for one particular way. I would be surprised if all of you were to all of a sudden have a flash of light and writing across the sky that told you this is your calling. Probably won't work that way. But God uses other ways, other people. He uses your experiences, both good and bad, to help direct you to where your calling is. So again, if you find yourself a little lost, you find yourself not quite where you thought you wanted to be, it's okay. Just go back to the Lord and think about it and continue to strive. And you haven't lost the race. As long as you still have breath in your body, you still have a purpose that God has called you to. So, you know, continue to do that. And as you do, I want you again this week to think about, have you felt lost and unsure about the calling after you've taken a wrong turn? And do you think that God has removed his call on your life because of it? And how do you work through it? So hopefully we've given you some things to think about that will encourage you and inspire you to continue to seek out your calling and know that you can and will. We all do. We make some wrong turns. We make some poor choices. We make some bad decisions. Things happen that are outside of our control. All of these things are just what they call life. But that doesn't mean that you'll never find your calling. Again, just take time and examine your ways, examine where you are, look for where you want to go, and listen for God's voice in many different ways as he reveals to you what your calling is and helps you to discover it. So think about that this week. I want to encourage you and inspire you that you're not lost forever, that we all do get lost a little bit, but continue to push on. God still has a purpose for your life. He loves you. He's called you. He's calling you to your purpose. So continue to pursue it. Be persistent. Trust and believe. God is still there with you. So I hope that that will help you this week. And I hope that you have a wonderful Labor Day weekend. Hope you've got some nice things planned despite the heat. And we'll be back again next week. And we will be talking about Think About It Thursday. And we're into a new month. So be prepared. There'll be some new things that we'll be looking at. And so until then, Take care and God bless. And take time for yourself, for self-care, and think about it. Take care. Bye-bye.